Okay, so today we're going to go over the Mailchimp database. And there's a lot of information in Mailchimp. There's a lot you can do with it. And we're going to try to keep this as simple as possible to not get information overload. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is log in. And you can see that Joel is the owner of this account. So it, from time to time, asks for security information and to verify identity versus an SMS, a text message, or with security questions. This has already been set up, but it does this at certain intervals just to re-verify. So we're just going to pick for now. I'll do this later. So the first thing you see when you log in is a salutation and an overview of activity. Now, our campaign has not been running, and we have no new subscribers. So over the past 7 days, and you can look at this for the past 30 days or the past year. Obviously, because we haven't been up and running, this data isn't going to be very helpful at this point. So let's see, and we can you can see that there's a graph here that would have the data in it, so you can see what's happening in a graphical format. As far as activity goes, looks like somebody unsubscribed from the list, so they took their name off the list. This was somebody that signed on from somewhere. I don't think they came through the campaign because it was on February 14th, which is before that campaign was running. You see other activity here. New subscribers, again, this is February 4th, January 11th, this is when I was setting up the campaign and making sure things were working and that the emails were getting in there. So basically you have a full view here, and there's a preferences tab. You can show the following. You can check or uncheck these things for what you want to see or not see. I would leave them all checked. It just shows you everything. Again, there's a lot of information in Mailchimp. So what we're really interested in here is campaigns and lists. And we'll go through the reporting as well. But right now, let's look at the lists. We have two lists here, and we have one called CERD Prospect and CERD Subscriber. And the CERD Subscriber comes in through that splash page when you first come to the website. And so this is where somebody would put their name and email in, and they're just somebody who, this is a general interest database. So these are people that have simply registered some small degree of interest. The prospect database is the one that we use for the campaign. So this is where, because we're segmenting these two, because people that come in through the campaign are people that we definitely want to keep in touch with. And so here in the subscriber, you see that there is one person in here, and this is the person that unsubscribed. They came in through the website. And this is maybe somebody that you know. There's a lot of things you can do here. You can get statistics. You can manage contacts. I'm not going to go through every one of these because it would just be way too much information. But you can. This is managing the list. You could delete the contacts. You could export them to another database. You can see the import history. You can see unsubscribe addresses. So if we were just looking at that, you can actually unsubscribe people. If you want to take them off the list yourself, you can do that. This is all about managing contacts. So most of the time, the only thing you would really want to do is view, and maybe on some rare occasion unsubscribe somebody that was a nuisance. You can just take them off the list. Segmenting the list is an advanced function, and you can basically segment a list by various factors, such as when the person subscribed, by a date range. You can put them into another sublist saying that everybody that came in between February 28th and March 4th goes into this list, etc. Segmentation is, again, something that you're probably not going to want to do. It's breaking up a larger list into smaller segments. You can export this list to a comma separated value file that you could pull into, for instance, Excel. So a CSV you can export as a CSV and then pull it into a spreadsheet if you wanted to. So again, a lot of things you can do. Let's see. You can even see social profiles of people on the list if they have them. Down here. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure what happened there. So you can upgrade to a paid plan. We have a free plan, and there are so many things you can do with a free plan, but you can add publicly available social data. So this is stuff that gets pulled from other sources. You can become extremely sophisticated about this. This is a third-party application. Okay, so we've gone to manage contacts. You can add contacts. You can actually manually add a subscriber, or you can import subscribers from another list. So if we were going to manually add one, you can type in an email address, a first name, a last name, a birthday if you want to, and check that this person gave me permission to email them. This is where somebody says just add me manually to the list if they didn't already come in. Or if the person's already on my list, you can update their profile. Sign-up forms. These are general forms, embedded forms, and subscriber pop-up forms. Again, these are already set up for our lists. You can see here's one I set up here. This is again in the pop-up for the website. And let's see, let's go back to this is the subscriber pop-up. Again, I don't think you're going to want to create new forms here. I would highly suggest that going forward, that other than functions like potentially adding people or looking at email statistics or unsubscribing or removing people from your list, that you retain somebody that knows Mailchimp. It's very, very complex. It can be very complex to do some of these advanced functions. And I'm just showing you some of what's available here, but I wouldn't expect that you would want to get into it on this level because people teach entire courses on this. So you have list name and defaults. You have list fields and merge tags. You have footer content. You have Google Analytics. There's really a lot you can do here. With the list name and defaults, this is what we've set up. It's called, you saw before, the list is called CERD subscriber. We're not asking for double opt-ins. You see the default from name is Joel Brown. This is something that you might want to edit. The default from email address is jhb@cerd.org. There is no default email subject. That's an optional setting. There really isn't anything you really need to set up here. The defaults are usually fine, unless again you want to change the list name or the from name and from email address. That's the only thing you really need to know here. There is a footer in each email, and this is required, so we'll look at this one. And I think there was a question about what people see in the emails, and you remind people how they signed up because you opted in via our website, and that's how they got their name in this list, by responding to that pop-up. And so here's the how can recipients contact you. This is in the footer of the email, the company, the contact name, the email address, the address of the company. So this is full disclosure in the website URL here. And this is how people opted into the list. They came in this case, they came in through the website. So again, you may want to change some of these settings at some point. But these are the only two things really, in the setting, the list name and defaults and the required email footer content are probably the only things that you would ever really want to change. Okay, so if we go back to lists, you see we have the CERD subscriber and the CERD prospect, and this is just, again, a separate list with different origins, and you have all the same things we've just gone through here. So let's look at the other really important thing here, and let's look at campaigns. So we have two campaigns here, and when these are campaigns for the CERD prospect list. So what we have for the CERD subscriber is they're just getting a welcome email. So here they're getting a welcome email, and let's go into the email a little bit. I will show you a little bit about what you can do with emails. So let's see, let's edit the email. Go ahead and do edit. And this is the welcome message. And so you'll see there's something called a trigger here. And this one gets sent immediately after subscribers join or are imported to your list. So this gets triggered automatically. It's every day, all day. The segment, we covered segments briefly. This is being able to segment your emails into specific time periods, date ranges. You can even parse the email by what organization they are and put them in a separate list. And then an action that goes with it. So here, if we want to edit the email, and I will show you some editing functions, we have to pause the email, okay? And then you can edit the schedule, you can edit the segment, you can edit the actions. But right now, let's just go ahead and look at editing the email. Okay, so let's go back. It took us immediately to design. Let's go back to setup. And here's the name of the email. It's called Welcome Message, and the subject is Welcome to CERD, and it's from Joel Brown, and this is what people are going to see, and it's from jhb@cerd.org. You can use pre-existing templates. There's a lot you can do with templates here. What we're doing, and so you can pick one of these as an email template, but what we are using is we're using basic templates. We're using a basic one-column design here. And the reason for that is that some of the fancier HTML emails, I'm going to go up here, where you've got a lot of text and graphics in it, these are more likely to go in your spam folder. The safest type of email is a plain text email with a few graphics in it, but not an HTML email. So this is what we're using. We're just using a one-column layout. And there is a way to use, you can see, broken up by different columns, even with an aspect ratio. Again, a lot of information here, a lot you can do with very fancy customized emails, but in my experience and the experience of most people who do a lot of client work with emails is that the plainer the email, the better they tend to work, and the less likely they are to go into the spam folder. So having done that, let's go to the design. We're using that one column. And so here you see the email, and if you click on the section, then you can see over here is a way to modify it. So if you wanted to modify this email, this is what you would be doing. You can change the words. So we could put more stuff in here, and you can see in real time what it's doing. So this is a way to edit it. You can actually edit this graphic up here if you wanted to. And so you can replace this logo, you can edit this logo. This was one that worked well for emails. So again, here's what we're looking at. We've got some links in this, so you can create a link. This is the same type of editor you would use in WordPress, where if you wanted to add a hyperlink, this is the symbol for a link. So you could add a link. So this links to our website, and here, any link is going to be blue underlined, an appointment. So this links to our 20-minute consultation. So if we go ahead and open that link in a new tab, just want to show you that this is what people are actually seeing. There it goes to our calendar. This is the user view of the calendar. So we put this in the email, and of course the purpose of this welcome email is to have them visit our website or reserve an appointment. Okay. So once you're done, you would do a save and close, which we'll just do here. And remember, we paused the email while we were editing it. So we're going to save and return to the workflow. Okay. And you see this email is paused now because we were editing it. And you got to remember, you need to remember to resume all emails so that the sequence starts up again. Okay, so now we've done that. And so that's the workflow. So if we go back to the campaigns again, you have the welcome email that goes out immediately, and then we have another one called follow-up automation. And there's a series of 4 emails, I believe 4 emails in this sequence. Right, 4 emails in the sequence. And they all have different triggers in them. So this trigger is 3 days after subscribers join your list. So what happens with this is that when they first subscribe to this list, they get the welcome email, and then 3 days afterwards, they get a second email. And it's good to space these out and not send emails too often so that people don't feel like they're getting spammed. But again, if you do a pause and edit here, you can change any of these things. If you wanted to change the trigger to the day after, you could. So we have been through this functionality, and so this is just an automation sequence. It's a follow-up automation sequence. And here's follow-up number 2, which goes out 10 days after subscribers join your list. And again, if you wanted to edit this email, you would do it the same way. You would pause, you would edit. And you can do the setup. And this is again where you can change the name. People don't see follow-up number 2. This is internal use only, but it's RE your interest in CERD from Joel Brown, etc. If you go to this is still using the same template. We're using the same template throughout. We're using this 1-column template. Simplest to read, most likely not to end up in the spam box. And again, if you wanted to change this email, you just click on the section and you can edit it right here. And again, any of the graphics, any of the links, every email in the sequence has a link to schedule a free consultation. You definitely want to do that. You want them to take some sort of an action. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and do a save and close since we were editing it. Again, we're going to return to the workflow. And so you can see that there's a series of emails here. So if you want to edit them, you can just go in and go through these steps. You can pause that email and you can edit it. So you can add new emails here as well to any of these sequences. So the last one of these goes out 30 days after subscribers join the list. So what we have is 3 days, 10 days, 18 days, and 30 days. Again, you want to space these emails out and not send too many in an automation sequence. But again, you could add another email and say, oh, I want to do one 60 days out. So then you could go ahead and add another email, and you could set a trigger for that. I'll just show you how to do that. So here's another trigger. It defaults to 31, which is 1 day after the last one. But again, here you could say, I want to send one out 60 days later, 60 days after or before, right? So you could actually send one out before, but you would really want to do that. So here we're setting 60 days after the campaign started. So it's not 60 days after the last email, but it's 60 days after the campaign started. Okay, and then you can set the schedule, etc. So we're not here. We are scheduling them weekdays at 6 a.m. That's a time when people are. This is when it goes into the inbox, and sending emails first thing in the morning is often a good time, so that when somebody gets to their office and checks their email, that this will be in the inbox. And there's a nice thing here with the schedule, where it's actually, you can see it's 6 a.m. Eastern time on weekdays only, because we're working with a professional audience here, and these are people that are probably working Monday through Friday. So we're not sending them emails on the weekends. And so, and again, in the Eastern time zone. But what happens here is that it actually normalizes for other time zones as well. So we're going to cancel this, and that's your schedule. And we looked at the trigger. And let's see, we created this other email here, and we're going to delete it because we haven't put anything in there. And it asks you to confirm. This is if you want to remove an email. Okay, so we're back to the original 4 in the list. So we're going to save and exit, and we're going to go back to the campaigns. Okay, and we see that some emails are paused. So we're going to edit the workflow settings. We're going to pause all emails, and now we're going to resume them. Okay, so that's what you do. You pause to add, edit, update emails. You can pause individual emails, or you can pause the entire campaign. And if we go back to the workflow settings, go back to the campaigns, you'll see that both of these now have a status of sending instead of paused. So that means they're up and running. Let's see, you can create draft emails. You can look at only drafts, and we don't have any drafts here. But you can save an email and then not enable it as part of the campaign while you're working on it. Okay, so we've been over campaigns, templates, lists. Let's look at reports. Again, there's a lot you can do here. We don't have any reports yet, but after you send your first campaign, after we get some subscribers, we'll be able to see reports on how it performed. And you can do this in various ways. Comparative reports are only available for pro users. Automation, again, this is our automation sequence, the welcome email and the follow-up automation that we just looked at. Any landing pages, we're not using Mailchimp landing pages. They're not particularly sophisticated, so it's always better to have your own. So essentially, the rest of this is just profile, your account information, etc. But this should be a good overview of what it takes to update emails, to change emails, to add emails, to manage lists and subscribers. And again, there's a lot of information and a lot that you can do with these. You can look at, again, the sign-up forms. If there are any sign-up form settings, you can import into your list. You can export out of your list. You can replicate the list, and you can actually combine lists. And again, most of the time you wouldn't want to do most of these things except for the managed contacts, which we've been over, and maybe import and export names. So if you had if you had names in another email list, you could actually import them into this list, into either of the lists, either the subscriber list or the prospect list. So that is the basic functionality of Mailchimp. Again, there's a whole lot you can do with it, and for some of these advanced functions, I would definitely recommend retaining an expert. Okay, then. So we're going to go ahead and log out, and that's it.